One. And welcome back to On the Brand.
All right, someone that doesn't suck is going to play right now.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know about that, but
Hey,
someone who's at least played this game before.
Hey, I was doing pretty well until, I got to the point where I didn't know what the hell I was supposed to be doing.
That's okay. I'm sure I'll die too.
Oh,
so.
please tell me you can skip this.
I certainly did try.
Hooray. It's okay, Jason. Not all of us were very good on our first time.
Wow.
All right, so your main complaint, do we want to start all the way back at episode 7 with your hatred of modern Star Wars movies?
Well,
Jason?
is that really that hard considering episode 7 is just, like I said, garbage fire?
Well,
I don't think it was a garbage fire. I think it was just a rehash of
I want to start.
It felt like a fanfic.
a speed run of episodes 4 and 5.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about that in just a moment. But I want to start by saying that one of the things that really frustrates me about modern Star Wars fandom is that the prequels exist, and because the prequels exist, there is this idea that the bar of success is to be better than the prequels. Now, if Marvel's current bar for success was to just be better than the DC live-action movies, we'd have a whole bunch of really shitty comic book movies.
That's true.
Yeah, or be better than Daredevil and the Ang Lee Hulk.
Right. So if you're ever going to argue that you like the more recent Star Wars movies because they are better than the prequel movies, you are setting the bar unfairly low.
And also remember, people liked the prequel movies when they came out. Like I liked the prequel movies when they came out
you were
because I
like,
was a
what,
kid.
12? I mean...
Yeah, 12 to like 17, and I had no taste yet, so I didn't develop taste until my early 20s.
I think I still liked the Power Rangers when the Star Wars prequels came out. But anyway, yeah, if you're going to defend these movies by saying that they're better than the prequels, then your bar is way too low. I mean, remember that you're talking about a film franchise in which there are not one, but 2 landmark cinematic masterpieces. All right? So I don't expect every new Star Wars movie to be a landmark cinematic masterpiece. That's not fair. But better than the prequels is far too low of a bar. So I just want to get that out of the way first before, we talk about actual complaints with the movies, because that's always the first thing I hear is, oh, well, they were better than the prequels. And I'm sorry, no, that's not good enough.
Would better than the holiday special be a better bar?
Oh, jeez.
No. Put simply, I expect a movie to be at least Return of the Jedi, right? If you're not going to hit Return of the Jedi, then, ideally it should be Return of the Jedi without the Ewoks. But I'll settle for just Return of the Jedi.
Weren't the Ewoks supposed to be Wookiees and they just didn't have the budget? Or...
That's the thing I've heard. Is they were the thing I've heard is they were supposed to be Wookiees, but I think it was they wanted to be able to sell toys.
Yeah,
and little stuffed bear
I can see
things
that.
made for better toys than Wookiees.
Yeah, I've heard it's both like so they could have a teddy bear planet and because it was too expensive to have Wookiee costumes.
Planets.
Right, and I mean, how many extras can you hire that are 8 feet tall like Peter Mayhew? So,
Yeah, that's true.
the extras would just be hard to find.
Jeez, gotta go faster, Enek.
It's easier to just hire a bunch of children and make them teddy bears.
You're in a hurry.
So
I'm trying to get somewhere in this game. So
I've got milk in the trunk and it's gonna spoil if I don't get home fast enough.
oh
No!
I didn't blow up on any of those, at least. All right, at least I got shot by bad guys.
I like that you pointed at the TV when you said that.
Yeah.
So that our viewers can see what I'm pointing at, right? We're on YouTube,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
They can see.
Do we need to take an hour-long break and set up face cam? Is that what we need to do?
Maybe. Whatever. It's just a thing. So I know you were asking about Star Wars Episode 7. Episode 7 is good in the way that all of the Back to the Future movies are good, right? Because all the Back to the Future movies are basically the same movie.
Right.
So the fact that the first Back to the Future movie is good means that all of the Back to the Future movies are good, right? I mean, some of them are less good than others, but they're all good movies. And
I'd agree with that.
To that extent, The Force Awakens is a fine movie because it's just a complete rehash of
the first
Star
two
Wars
movies.
movie.
Yeah.
But there's so many details about it that are just
Starting with hiding illicit plans in a droid and ending with a trench run to blow up another Death Star.
Wow, where could you have written that sort of wit? Perhaps on your blog, megabearsfan.net?
I don't know if that line is actually on there, but I mean, I was telling people back when the trailers were coming out that this is just going to be a rehash of the first Star Wars movie. I told people that Han Solo's going to die because I saw the trailers, and the trailers looked a lot like the scene for scene from Star Wars, and in the trailers, Han Solo was playing the Obi-Wan Kenobi role, teaching all about the Force and stuff to the young kids, and I said, oh, well, then he's not going to survive the movie, because this is just going to be a rehash of the first Star Wars movie. And people were all like, no way, and it's like, I mean, Harrison Ford's condition for reprising the role.
Truth, can I make the 90-degree angle?
Yeah. Can you turn the
what do they tell you? Do you start now?
I have no idea. There we go.
There you go. Just spam it.
That's it. You just shoot the torpedo and you win. You don't even have to aim it.
Well, you use the Force.
They don't even make you bring out the targeting scanner and then put it away.
No, I think the targeting scanner does get used in later missions, but I don't remember what.
It does because it also paints things in backgrounds.
Is that bronze or gold?
That's bronze.
So yeah. Okay. So anyway, yeah. I'm gonna divert with the unless is that an episode? I don't know.
No.
You're good. Keep going.
Yeah, that was only 5 minutes. He's better than you.
Okay, sorry. I was looking at your timer and it says
it's okay.
Wait, something else.
Oh, look at all the shit we have unlocked. Whoa.
So anyway, The Force Awakens.
B-wing all the way, right?
No.
Oh hell yeah.
B-wing is the best
fighter
in this game.
Well, we couldn't even use it on this mission, I thought.
Okay, the A-wings and B-wings. Actually, I think the A-wings are worse than this, even though they're better than this.
A-wings are the fastest thing, but they're
super weak in the.
Oh my god, there's prequel ships. I hate this game.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stick with the X-wing. So.
What was I saying?
Oh, go ahead.
So asking about The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens started a process that really bothered me, and Rogue One, just took it and ran with it.
Okay, yeah. So what was that specifically?
The Force Awakens, in my opinion, took a little chip out of the Star Wars universe, and then Rogue One took a friggin' sledgehammer and just cracked it completely open and fundamentally broke it.
Well, see,
and I'm not talking about the fiction. I'm talking about the actual space in which the Star Wars universe exists is now fundamentally broken by these two movies.
Yeah, it's no longer a galaxy. Well, it's anywhere in the galaxy can now be reached in 4 hours.
Right. So the Force Awakens was criticized for the ending of the movie where the Starkiller base just fires a bunch of lasers and they just instantly get to their targets and people can see the lasers blowing up planets from other planets, presumably in other star systems. So there's no sense of scale.
Oh, that's what you use that for. That's
in
right.
this universe anymore.
It's just to see them in a backdrop.
Right.
Because at first, I had hoped that this was just a stupid J.J. Abrams thing, because he did the same thing in the Star Wars reboot, where Spock stood on another planet that isn't actually supposed to be there to watch Vulcan get blown up. So I thought, okay, well, maybe in Rogue One we'll have different writers. They won't do that sort of bullcrap that's there just for dramatic effect. But no, Rogue One made it even worse, because you've got scenes in Rogue One where the hyperspace is being used as basically a narrative crutch, right? So you've got the whole thing is they've got this situation, right, where the heroes want help blowing up the bad guy base that's on I don't remember what the name of the planet was, Ewan something.
I don't remember the rainy planet.
Yeah, the one where the rain is, and they want to go save what's-her-name's dad. And they're asking for help, and they're like, oh no, our fleet's going to be off on this other mission, we can't divert them, right? So they get there, and then they just call for help, or the base gets a distress signal or whatever, and then a bunch of X-Wings just hyper jump in. From where? We don't know. I thought they couldn't spare them, but whatever, now they're here. And then later, at the end of the movie, during the final battle, again, the rebels refused to send a fleet to go fight this battle, so they had to send in this little infiltration team, and then they've got to shut down the shield or whatever, and they do that, and then they just call for help, and the entire rebel fleet just jumps in.
Right, and contrast that to this game right here, where, look, they're at a staging point. that's why they're stopped, is their hyper engines need to recharge or whatever.
Right. Well, the better
distances are vast and it takes time to get across them.
We don't even have to you compare it to the game, we can talk about the other Star Wars movie. The best example, and I wrote a breakdown of this in my blog. It's at www.megabearsfan.net.
Every episode.
We already did that joke. This episode.
You can look for it. It's something called The Shrinking Scale of the Star Wars Universe, is like the title of it. So you can search for that on my blog. And what I did is I did a comparison of that ending battle in Rogue One to the ending battle of Return of the Jedi. And in Return of the Jedi, you have this big thing where the rebels have to send this infiltration team out like 2 days in advance of the fleet in order to get the shield down. And the shield has to be lowered at a specific time.
It doesn't feel like 2 days. It felt like a day. But yeah,
it was at least a day.
Yeah,
like
because there was like a sunrise-sunset cycle.
There was at least one night time that they were there. So they were there for like 1 day and then the next day or the next morning.
Well, it would have been a month then. Well, I guess not necessarily because that moon might not be tidally locked to its planet.
All right. Well, now you're looking too much into it. But yeah, the point is they had to coordinate this stuff in advance, right? The fleet is supposed to jump in at a specific time and the shield has to be down. If the shield isn't down at that specific time, the whole fleet...
Did you hear what he said? He said, I got a bad feeling about this.
That means bad stuff's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
No, I forgot what I was talking about. Thanks.
Can I just have the X-Wing back, though?
I think you can.
It has way more firepower.
Right, but it gets to the bad guys slower.
I don't care.
But
they all converge on top of the ships anyway. It just... Go after them.
So yeah, so stuff like that just completely took me out of the movie with Rogue One. Like...
those are interceptors.
Yep.
I couldn't stand how the writers were able to just rely on communications and the hyperdrive as a narrative crutch to just get the heroes out of whatever problem they're in. Like when Han Solo disables the shield generator in Return of the Jedi, he doesn't phone up Admiral Akbar and tell him, yo, the shield's down, you can jump the fleet in now. Like, the fleet is coming whether the shield is down or not. Like, there's an element of strategy and forethought and planning that had to go into this to make it successful. And Rogue One is just like, nah, screw it. They'll just call for help when they need help, and a fleet will be there in 2 seconds flat.
And it's very strongly implied that the only way to communicate faster than light is to send a ship faster than light. Like, you can't... There isn't like a subspace beam that you can talk across light years over. You have to send a ship.
Well, and I mean, Star Wars has always played loose with its science, right?
Right, because it's fantasy.
Right, and so I've had people argue with me that travel was always that fast in the Star Wars galaxy, and I'm like, kind of.
But I mean, travel is always vague.
Well, the first Star Wars trilogy, and this is something that even the prequels held up. So, listen to me now actually giving the prequels some credit for doing something right. But in the original Star Wars movies, the amount of time that it took to travel was always ambiguous. Yeah. Right? They used cuts and stuff like that to they always did it to give the sense of time without actually showing the sense of time. So when the heroes are leaving Mos Eisley and flying in the Millennium Falcon to Alderaan, there's the scene of them all bonding in the cockpit, or not in the cockpit, in the lounge, and then they cut to Princess Leia being interrogated and presumably tortured or drugged or whatever, and then they cut back to they cut back and forth, and the time that takes place during these cuts is left ambiguous.
Yeah.
If you want to assume that it's minutes, then the movie works with them being minutes. If you want to assume that it's hours or days or weeks, the fiction does not break.
Jason, I'm going to force a disambiguous cut right here and say next time on the branch we'll continue this discussion.
And we'll destroy those walkers.